Hey there, my name's Ashley and I'm here with my friends Noah and Bland. And we're going to make $100 EDH decks with cards only at one local game store. I'm gonna try to build an EDH deck for $100, so wish me luck, everybody. This is Chris. He's the co-owner of Haven Games, and today he's gonna be helping us.
Do you want commons, uncommons? Do you want bulk rares?
Bulk everything.
Yeah, bulk everything?
We're gonna be at $100.
Okay, I'm gonna put them at the back table.
I might want to grab Even Mind Sensor just to stop you guys from tutoring.
So I'm thinking about building Belb because I actually found some really good creatures for it. So for 2 mana, it is encouraging in combat and hopefully will give me enough colorless mana to start making big creatures. So that is my plan.
I am playing Tattoo Over. My plan is to either storm off by playing so many lands or mill everybody out because I don't know. Or Thassa's Oracle because I'm not a nice person.
Degenerate.
Yes.
My objective here is just to make a crap ton of tokens. At the end of the day, if I don't make enough tokens to kill the table, I didn't deserve to win.
You're talking.
I'm thinking, oh yeah, Time Strike because of the end effect with, yeah, and then more tokens.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we can't even.
Let me price these out. Oh, thank you.
Except for urine step.
What?
How do you feel about this? You said you wanted a huge creature. What do you think about that?
Oh, okay. Okay, so to clarify, Toxic 4 is infect.
Yeah, not infect.
I'm at 106 right now.
And in fact, every damage that this does, either if it hits a player's poison counters, if it hits a creature, it's -1/-1 counters. Toxic 4 just means that if you hit the player, they get 4 counters, 4 poison counters.
Woo! I'm winning.
Wait, so you got your deck?
Yeah, I paid for it like hours ago.
Oh. You paid for it hours ago. You've been done.
I've been done. I've just been sitting around helping the other players.
I am the other players. For some
I'm
reason.
getting some sleeves to go with my cards. So.
What sleeves? What color? What color?
Midnight Blue.
Midnight Blue.
To ask how much are these cards, and if they are 15, I'll pay you. Okay.
100.
Okay. A rich man.
Every now and then we get something cool like
Tax,
that, but
but-
the metal ones are very
Tax.
It's 107.48 cents.
Okay. No, that'd be so sweet if we all put. I'm not saying we should, but we all put our decks in there and just opened it up. And like, all right, we're playing with these.
What are you gonna say for the outro?
Outro. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Triple. No, I'm not doing it. So I built Belb, and these 2 goofballs behind the camera, they built really stinky decks, and we're all gonna play against each other sometime. So I'm back home, and I actually put a poll on Twitter, Discord, and YouTube to see which of these 2 sleeves that we're going to sleeve up our new deck. We have the brushed art shy sleeves, and we have the pink matte sleeves, both from Dragon Shield. And so let's take a look at those polls and see what you all decided. On Twitter, there was only 1 vote, and so we have 1 for the pink matte sleeves so far. On Discord, it was tied again, 1 and 1 for each sleeve, and on YouTube, we have 72 votes. Okay, 64% of those votes are for the pink, which is crazy, by the way. So we're gonna sleeve up our deck in pink, so let's go ahead and do that. So I bought more than 100 cards, not to be cheating, but because I already built my deck and then I looked at the counter, I'm like, wow, there are so many awesome upgrades that I could be doing. So let me show you those potential upgrades and then I'll show you the final result of what deck we are actually going to be fighting with. We have Soul Ring, Thought Vessel, and the rest of these. I don't know if I'll be adding Soul Ring and Thought Vessel, to be honest, because on turn 1 and 2, I already have plans to be doing other things. So I think putting those cards in the deck are going to deter me from playing cards I want to play. So I finally have the deck built, so let me show you what I have for categories-wise. What's really going to make my commander work is with cards like Pulse Tracker. I got really lucky finding this one, and that's going to be able to get me 6 mana really early in the game. There's also Vault Scourge, which, looking at it, isn't really going to get you a lot of mana, but it's going to get me at least 2 mana because it's a 1/1 flyer and it has lifelink. I can also pay 2 life instead of that black mana, so I can get that out turn 1, and turn 2 I'm getting out Belb, and I can get that 2 colorless mana for attacking at least one opponent. Same with Vault Scourge. This is just a 1 black mana for a 1/1. It has Death Touch, so that will hopefully promote opponents to not block with it, and get me that 2 colorless mana that I'm going to need starting with my commander. And last, there's Bantu's Monument. Whenever I'm casting creature spells, each opponent loses 1 life and I gain 1, so this is also going to help promote that 6 colorless mana post-combat. As for the removal, there's a pretty good amount. I'm going to say there's 8 of them. So we have Noxious Gearhulk. When this enters the battlefield, we get to destroy a creature, and it has to be another target creature. So it's not non-black, which is great. And if the creature was destroyed this way, we get to gain life, and that will be great as well. There's Return to Nature, the card that nobody cares about, but is super good. It gives us 3 options for an artifact, an enchantment, or to exile a card from someone's graveyard. We have Murder, where we can just destroy any creature. There's Terastodon, where we get to destroy non-creature permanents when it enters the battlefield. There's Archon of Cruelty. Now, this was suggested to pick up, and this one is whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent has to sack a creature or a planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. And then we get benefits such as drawing a card and gaining 3 life. And what's great is that it costs 8 mana, and 6 of it is going to be from our commander, hopefully. And then last we have Doomblade and Naturalize, just basic commander removal for the deck. We also have ways to make tokens in the deck. There's Somberwald Beastmaster, and if you look at that mana cost, it's 6 and a green, which is great because our commander is going to give us that 6 mana, and we're going to make a huge, or actually just a lot of tokens from this. And then we have Verdant Force. This is 5 and 3 green, and we're going to get a Saproline on each upkeep, which is great. There's Giant Adaphage. Whenever this deals combat damage to a player, we're going to get another copy of this. And then we have Crash the Party. We're going to get a 4/4 Rhino for each tapped creature we control. Now, if our creatures happen to die, we have a bunch of ways to bring them back. Command the Dreadhorde, super underrated, but it's going to help us get any creatures from any graveyard as long as we're willing to pay the life for their mana cost. There's Zombify. For 4 mana, we get to return any creature from our graveyard to our hand. There's Gaia's Will. I thought we'd be able to take advantage of this card, and hopefully we'll be able to. So we have Paleoth. Whenever a creature with power 5 or greater is going to enter our battlefield, we get to return creatures from our graveyard to our hand. There's also Beacon of Unrest. We get any creature from any graveyard, and we're going to shuffle this back into our library. I don't typically put this card in decks, but again, we were only working with what was at that local game store. So for 7 mana, we can get any creature from any graveyard onto our battlefield. We also have Rakshasa Debaser, so when this attacks, we're going to put target creature from a defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under our control. So another way we can start taking creatures from our opponents. There is Whip of Erebos. I've never owned a copy, but it's super sweet. For 4 mana, we can tap this and get any creature from our graveyard. It's going to gain haste, and then we get to exile at the beginning of the next end step. And it's going to get exiled no matter where it goes. And we can only activate this as it were a sorcery. I also put Geth in here. I thought it would be interesting. We can mill our opponents as well as take their artifacts and or creatures if we're willing to pay the mana. There's Incarnation Technique. We get to demonstrate, so we get to copy this if we give a copy to our opponents, but we're going to start milling 5, then return a creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield. And last, for the graveyard interaction, we have Palace Siege. At our upkeep, we can return a creature card from our graveyard to our hand. Now, there is a ton of card draw, so I'm not going to go through it all, but the important stuff that I have, I'm going to share with you. Now, there is a ton of card draw, so we'll start with Dawnglade Regent. When this enters the battlefield, we're going to become the Monarch, and that means at our end step before the Monarch, we get to draw a card. There's also Staff of Nin, so it could end up that turn 2, we cast this 6 mana cost artifact, and we get to draw a card or upkeep, and we also get to start pinging stuff for 1. There's Garrick's Horde. This is amazing for this deck. We get to play with the top card of our library revealed, and if it's a creature, we get to cast that. This also has Trample, and it's a 7/7. We have Garrick's Uprising, so this gives our creatures Trample. Whenever a power 4 or greater creature enters our battlefield, we get to draw a card. And there's Primordial Sage and Beast Whisperer. Whenever we cast a creature, we get to draw a card, and that's going to be what's very helpful for this deck. Now let's talk about ways we're going to end the game. Besides all those huge creatures, we have Aggressive Mammoth. This is going to give our creatures Trample, and this is going to be really sweet. There's Thunderfoot Baloth, giving all of our creatures Trample as long as we control our commander. There's Endray's Forerunners. This is going to give our creatures Vigilance and Trample +2/+2 as well. So we get to deal a huge amount of damage. And then we have Unnatural Growth, which I've seen it before, but I'm going to read it to you guys. For 5 mana, so for 1 green, 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 at the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. So this will deal a huge amount of damage to our opponents and hopefully be enough to end the game. Second to last category, we have just huge creatures that are going to really deal our opponents a huge amount of damage. We have Elder Gargaroth. I've never owned a copy, but I've heard great things. This is a 6/6 with Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it attacks or blocks, we get to choose to create a beast token, gain 3 life, or draw a card. This is going to be really sweet for the deck. There's also Kozilek the Great Distortion. They only had 1 huge Eldrazi, and I was going to pack this deck full of them as long as I could afford it, but this is the one that we were able to pick up. And the last huge creature is Tyrannix Rex. This is insane. This is 7 mana, and it's an 8/8. This spell can't be countered. It has Trample, it has Toxic 4, it has Ward 4, and it has Haste, and it's a really sweet art. And the last card I want to talk about, which costs a huge amount of mana, is Profane Transfusion, which is good for the mana cost because it does cost us 9, but we're able to get that 6 colorless mana, which would cost us only 3 black, and it says 2 target players exchange life totals. You create an XX colorless horror artifact creature token where X is the difference of those life totals, so this could save us last minute if we really need it or if we want to mess up one of our opponents pretty badly and just get a huge creature out of it as well. So that was the Belb deck. I'll have the link in the description for this deck if you're interested. So if you purchase it, you get to support the channel at no additional cost, and that really helps out the channel, so thank you. And I encourage you to also do something like this to help support your local game store. It does not have to be $100, but just any way you can find to support your local game store I think is going to be a great benefit to you and your community as well, and your local game store. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.